conditioned victim response when somebody is acting out at that age. So I wish it were different.
Yeah.
But once we start recognizing these lies, then we have a chance to really start seeking after the truth so we can heal.
Absolutely.
In these areas.
Yep. It's a tough subject, but Satan is a liar. And if you want the opportunity to dig into this a little bit deeper, you can go to our website, BloomTodayTV.com. And we have an exercise, a coaching tool for you to walk through. It's just some questions, some more explanation, and some baby step exercises to help you moving in the right direction towards healing.
And we have a guest.
We have a fantastic guest that I'm so excited to bring on. An ex-victim who has a powerful story. Karen Brockington, would you please come in and join us?
Hey, please. And Ginny, can you give her a hand,
Oh,
please?
I can give her a hand. Karen, I'd like to give you a hand.
Wow, this is so cool. Hands down, no pun intended. So cool. Hello, how are you guys
doing? Thank you so much for coming on.
You match our mugs.
Purple, that's my favorite color.
Purple,
yeah.
We got it going on.
Everything.
I don't know what happened to her. She's not wearing purple.
She didn't get the memo.
I didn't.
No, evidently not.
Next time, would you send me the memo, please?
Yeah.
That way she could wear purple with us.
Exactly.
Amen. Karen, thank you for being here. We so appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
We were talking about a tough subject today. And I know that it's something that is close to your heart as well. Would you share with us a little bit about why that is?
Well, one, because for years I blamed myself for the abuse that I took when I was younger. From as early as I can remember, I was abused by both men and women in crazy, crazy ways. And like you were saying, when your body responds to touch, as a kid, in your mind, you're thinking, wait a minute, this is wrong, but why is my body betraying me?
Right.
So you go through the torment from one abuse to the next abuse. And then after a while, you don't say anything. You don't scream. You don't fight it. You somewhere go in a back part of your mind, like, okay, well, this is enjoyable, so it must be right. And you equate it to love. So you think that this is the way love is and love does. So for years, I blamed myself. I just, like you said, it's a lie that the enemy tells you that it's your fault. It's your fault. I never forget when I was at the age of 13, I was coming home from school and stayed after school, singing a Christian song, and a guy was following me and I didn't see him. And he came up on me and began to choke me, took me into an alley and raped me.
How old were you?
13. Wow. 13 years old and raped. I never forget, while I was standing there and he was choking me and I had no breath. And I just said, Lord, if you're going to take me home, go ahead, because I don't want this to happen. I was a virgin, 13 years old.
Wow.
And so he raped me and I ran home and I told my foster parent, because I grew up in Baltimore City, rough area, went from foster home to another foster home, and each foster home had its own different abuses. So I ran home and I told my foster parent there that I was raped. So she takes me to the police station. Well, in the police station, they do this examination. In the police station, while they were examining me, she was saying, you better be a virgin. I'm sitting there like, what? What did you do? This better be true. And I better find out that you are telling the truth, that you were raped. So she told the doctor while he's examining me. And back in the day, they didn't have the plastic stirrups that they had to open you up. It was the steel ones. So imagine at the age of 13, no compassion from the examiner, examining me. And then you have your foster parent that's supposed to support you, blame you, and protect you, blame you. So I'm standing there saying, oh my gosh, Lord, I am a virgin, and I was a virgin, but he didn't penetrate fully. So I'm like, am I going to get in trouble when I get home? And this must have been my fault. What did I do? So you have all those emotional things going on. So the doctor confirmed to her that I was. And so instead of me being focused on the fact that, oh my gosh, I just got raped by this grown man, I'm focused on the fact that I'm going to get a beating, another form of abuse from my foster parent, And so I went through that. And then she announced it to the church
that I
was raped and that I liked it. So,
oh my gosh.
So I grew up with this mentality. Satan just put blame, right, like you said, on my forehead.
Identity thing, yeah.
So any other abuse that occurred after that, and there were some,
you weren't going to say a word.
I wasn't going to say a word
I know
because
that.
it was instantly my fault.
Absolutely.
You know, and there was another. I'll tell one more story. There was another story where that really kind of just got me. There was my mom. She was an alcoholic, so she was on one of her binges, and we're in Baltimore City. There's no electricity. It's cold. It's winter. Myself and my sisters and a few others. So we're hungry, and we didn't have any food to eat. So there was this guy in the neighborhood that was a godmother to one of my cousins. So he said, "Come on, guys, come over to the house. I'll get you some food, and you guys can clean up, take a bath." And I'm sitting here thinking, yes, there's somebody nice in the world after going through, that will help you. So we get there, 3:00 in the morning. I feel this tap on my shoulder, and here he is coming up. He drags me, puts a belt on my neck, drags me down to his room, and forces oral sex. So I'm sitting there saying to myself, what? Like, God, like I just was dumbfounded. Just like, you couldn't tell me anything about God. You couldn't tell me anything, no, okay, if you told me, oh, no, this is Satan. No, this is him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you could change this. I blamed my mother, but I didn't know her story until I found out her story. I blamed the abuser. I blamed everybody else. And the biggest blame was myself.
Of course, because you went there looking for food, right?
Like, and here's the thing. When I woke up that morning, he gave me a $2 bill. And I took it because we were hungry. And that even more put this thing on me, like, oh, you can get money for this. And should you do this for money? But then something in the back, it just was this torment. But then I felt cheap. I felt dirty. To me, that was worse than the actual act.
Right.
You saying, here's a $2 bill.
Right.
And the thing is, I took it. So I blame myself. Well, I must have wanted him to do this because I took
the money.
Because I took the money because we were hungry. But one day, at the age of 40, because you know how it is when you're an ex-victim, you go through life, everything you do. No, I didn't do this. Nope, it's not my fault. I didn't do it. You get this complex about every little thing somebody's going to blame you for.
Right.
Even now, sometimes I go back into that at my 50s, go back to that. Nope, I didn't do it. It wasn't me, because
you're
Satan,
scared.
You don't want to be at fault. But at the age of 40, I will never forget what the Lord told me. He said, do you know Jesus was abused? He was whipped, spit on, talked about. He was tempted on all points and was abused. And Pilate, because Jesus was God in flesh, Pilate had to declare, he said, I find no fault in this man.
Right.
I find no fault in this man. And he said, it is not your fault. I never forget that day. I cried. I just released. And this is 40. And you're talking about this abuse happened when I was from 5 years old up until about 17 years old. And I just cried. And he said, it's not your fault. He said, it wasn't Jesus' fault either. He did nothing. He stood there. They abused him. He didn't cry out either. And it wasn't his fault, and it's not your fault. And God began to work on me and deliver me and to heal that, and
That's
did not allow
beautiful.
the enemy to let me be overtaken with blame, because a lot of times if you get stuck in blame, then everything you do, you're going to revert back to the blame becomes your security blanket.
Right.
Absolutely.
So if you do something wrong, it's because of this. If you do that, it's because of this. No, you have to be willing to let that go. Nicole Mullen's mom used to tell me, she said, you can want to be healed, or do you want to hold on to it? Which one do you want? And I said, I want to be healed. She said, then you're going to have to let go of the blame, let go of all of that. So when I stopped blaming me, then I was able to forgive the abuser.
Right.
Then I was able to not blame my mother.
Start getting freedom.
And start getting freedom.
Yeah, the scripture God used with me was when Jesus talks to the woman caught in adultery. Neither do I condemn you.
Yes.
And that was when she was caught. There was no question. And in that case, they weren't saying it was rape. You know, it might have been. You never know.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Jesus is saying, I don't condemn you. And how do we condemn ourselves if he's not condemning us?
Yes,
when
absolutely.
He's paid that price for us. So
He did.
you had a beautiful song
Man.
with that you said spoke to you in this.
Yeah, during the process, I think it was right after the abuse with the oral sex, and then right after that, you know, I was raped by my mom's boyfriend, and you know that's a whole nother other, and I wound up getting a beating for that, you know, because she thought I was. They got us drunk.
You were stealing her guy.
Yeah. So this song it's written by Tommy Sims, but sang by CeCe Winans, and I never forget sitting there one day, and I was like, Lord, you just can't, you know, you just don't exist, you know. And then I saw CeCe on TV singing, "For God so loved the world that he gave," and I said, "Oh, love gives and not takes." And then later on, when I was going through the effects of the abuse, this song, "Everlasting Love," began to speak to me. And I'm going to have one of you guys.
I'll read. Would love
read
to.
Just a couple verses.
Yes, absolutely. When the darkness filled the urgent sky, and the tears welled up in the corners of my eyes, and the sun would shine for the pouring rain, wondered if I'd ever see daylight again. When the stars protest at the moon's refrain, and I told myself I'd surely go insane, and the earth kept turning at an alarming pace, and I couldn't talk my heart out of joining the race. I remember a time I couldn't close my eyes. I would lie awake despairing. Don't know how many nights, afraid of death, that my chest would give way to the fear. Pulled the covers over my head, and I cupped my ears. In attempt to escape the deafening sounds of silence, in attempt to escape these constant visions of violence, and with death as close as it could possibly get, heard a voice in the distance saying, "CeCe, not yet."
And I put my name in there because it talks about that night season when you can't sleep, when all you hear in the silence is loud, and the torment is there, and your head is spinning, your heart is spinning, and then just when you're just about to say, "I just give up," he says, "Karen, not yet. Paula, not yet."
Isn't that amazing? And that's why you win.
Yes.
That's why you win.
Yeah.
Our ex-victim of the week.
Woo-hoo.
And the cup is purple to match your outfit with chocolates and tissues.
Yay.
And we are celebrating not the brokenness that Satan does and the lies he tells us about it. We are celebrating the life and the healing and the joy and the way you're able to minister right alongside others and using the fertilizer of your past.
Yes.
To bloom.
Yes.
And you're blooming today.
Yes, I am.
Like our TV show's called Bloom Today because that's what you're doing.
Yes.
A free PDF copy of the Bloom in the Dark book and a full list of Bloom Today's coaching tools can be found on BloomTodayTV.com. Then visit Bloom Today's Facebook group for deeper conversation.